Queen Letizia's reaction to Leonor's vows caught on camera. Eyes heart break. The vows were beautiful, the cameras were rolling, but Queen Letizia's face told another story. One blink, one breath, and everything changed. It was the moment Spain had been waiting for. Princess Leonor, heir to the Spanish throne, standing before her groom, Prince Christian of Denmark. Sunlight streamed through ancient cathedral windows. Golden arches, velvet banners, centuries of royal tradition pressing in from all sides. Yet, the focus was not on the crown. It was on a mother. Queen Letizia sat just meters away. Regal, composed, dressed in a pearl-toned gown custom-made by her longtime Spanish designer. But behind the elegance, there was tension. Not spoken, not screamed, but seen. Leonor had written her vows herself. Not cleared by the palace. Not reviewed by protocol. She had insisted they remain untouched. Her words, her voice, her moment. And when she began to speak, every camera turned to her. But one lingered, on Letizia. The queen, once a journalist, knew what it meant to be watched. Still, she didn't hide it. The flicker in her eyes. The shift in her jaw. The single tear she blinked away just seconds too late. What did she hear that shook her? Let's rewind. Leonor's voice was steady, clear. I stand before you not just as a daughter of Spain, she said, but as a woman who has chosen her heart over her title. A pause. Gasps from the room. A stir in the royal box. Letizia's lips parted slightly. Her brows drew in. No words. But the expression, undeniable. Why that line? Why that reaction? To understand it, we have to go back, far before the wedding. Back to when Letizia was just a name in the news. A journalist. A divorcee. A woman who fell in love with a prince, and paid dearly for it. Her entrance into royal life was not embraced by all. It was controversial, criticized, scrutinized. She gave up her career, her privacy, her autonomy, all in the name of monarchy, all for love. And now, 2 decades later, her daughter was choosing a different path. Not giving things up, but claiming both, love and power. And doing it publicly. That vow, heart over title, was not just romantic. It was revolutionary, and deeply personal. For Letizia, it was the very opposite of what she had once been forced to do. Sources close to the royal household later revealed. Letizia had asked Leonor to keep the vows traditional. Nothing that could spark political noise, she reportedly said. But Leonor had refused. And Felipe, he supported his daughter's choice. That rift, small, silent, had been growing for months. In private, Letizia is known to be fiercely protective. Of the crown, of her daughters, of appearances. She feared that Leonor, by making bold statements, could fracture public trust in the institution. Especially now, when Spain's monarchy was under increasing pressure to modernize or step aside. But Leonor didn't want to be a silent figurehead. She wanted to be heard. She needed to be. So when she stood at that altar and delivered her vows, not just to Christian, but to the world, she did it knowing full well what it meant. And Letizia, she felt every word. After the ceremony, as the newlyweds exited to thunderous applause, the cameras caught another moment. Letizia turned to King Felipe and said something, too quiet to hear. But her hand clutched his sleeve, knuckles pale. She looked away from the crowd. Her smile faded the moment no one was looking. Was it disappointment, fear, or something else? Let's pause here and consider this. Could it be grief? Not for a daughter lost, but for a version of herself she never got to be. Friends close to Letizia say she's been both proud and fearful of Leonor's independence. Proud, because her daughter speaks with conviction. Fearful, because conviction carries consequences. Later that evening, at the private reception, Letizia reportedly kept her distance. No grand toast, no official speech, only a quiet moment with Leonor, behind a column, away from cameras. Witnesses say they embraced, but it was brief, tense. One royal aide described it as, a mother letting go, but not yet ready to lose. But the public, watching from screens across the globe, only saw the surface. The elegance, the symbolism, and that face, Letizia's face, when the vows were spoken. Social media exploded. Was that heartbreak? As the queen against the marriage? Did Leonor go too far? The palace issued no comment. As always, silence is their strategy. But royal historians noticed something else. Letizia's reaction mirrored one recorded decades ago, when Queen Sofia watched her son, Felipe, marry Letizia herself. Back then, Sofia was criticized for appearing cold. But now, the cycle repeats. The next queen stands where Letizia once stood. Brave, in love, unafraid. And her mother watches, caught between duty and emotion. By morning, tabloids were split. Some praised Letizia's restraint. Others accused her of disapproval. But only one thing was certain. Her reaction was real. And maybe that's what made it so powerful. Because in a world of rehearsed speeches and curated smiles, what we saw in Letizia's eyes was honesty. Raw, unfiltered, human. A mother watching her daughter choose something bold. Something brave. Something she herself had once dreamed of, but was forced to compromise. Leonor didn't reject her mother. She honored her, by refusing to repeat her silence. And for a moment, on that royal altar, Spain didn't just witness a union. It witnessed a generational shift. Old rules, quietly breaking. New truths, softly rising. So when you watch that clip again, pause it. Look at Letizia, look closer. You're not just seeing a queen. You're seeing a woman, torn between pride and pain. Between the daughter she raised, and the future she never had.